I'm Bobby Foster and this is my walk in the city. This is Black Mountain, overlooking the city of Belfast. It's a place I spent many happy memories as a boy going up and down. It was an absolute natural playground for any child growing up in the 60s. And it's one of the favourite places even on quieter days. I like to come up as an adult and just still walk through the hills and look over the city. There used to be a natural spring water, and people used to come up with water bottles and various other utensils and fill it up with the water. I suppose we were the forerunners of the day of people going and buying bottled water. We sort of had bottled water when bottled water wasn't invented, and it came directly from this great mountain behind us. When the film Calamity Jane appeared on TV and Doris Day started singing about the Black Hills, we used to come up and spend hours looking for these Indians. It was only later in life we realised the Black Hills wasn't a Black Mountain. The Black Hills are actually in Dakota and the Black Mountains in Belfast. But it was one of those things, you thought that your favourite place had made it onto Hollywood's movie screens, No matter where I go in the world, and I've worked all over the world, travelled, I'll always come home and the first thing I always usually look up, be it through habit or just natural instinct, I always look up to see if the Black Mountain's still there. How can you get away from the Black Mountain? I mean, it's like old Father Shankill. You're going up the Shankill Road, the first thing you'll see is this fat valley of the Black Mountain, which dominates the skyline as you travel up the Shankill. As far as the rest of Belfast is concerned, the mountains around Belfast, and in particular the Black Mountain itself, reminds me of like a mother's arms that are spread around the city to protect it, So, as much as it means a lot to me, no matter where you lived in Belfast, the hills and the Black Mountain itself with Divis beside it would have meant a lot because it's a dominating skyline. It's our skyline.
Hello, my name is Peter Rosser. I'm in St George's Church in the heart of Belfast, and this is my walk in the city. St George's Church in Belfast is, I think, a special place in the city. It's well known as a music venue, and I regularly come here to listen to music and to review music. And all of the musicians who play here comment about the very special acoustic in this church. And I think this is one reason for this, in fact, is the unusual nature of this building, which is fairly creaky and which is very active. It seems to be a moving sculpture. The walls and the columns and the pews and the beams up above have a very complex relationship, I think, in this building. If you can imagine sound waves moving and bumping into the various structures and forming quite complex relationships between the very uneven walls here, you may begin to imagine why this is such a good music church. The National Chamber Choir is one of many choirs that performs here. They have their own singers here, of course, in the church as well. And I've often heard the medieval, Renaissance, sacred music sung here in St George's, and it's absolutely immediate. It's not looking at a painting or a fresco. It's a real live experience. And these sorts of spaces, St George's is a space that accommodates that so well. And once you have 15 to 20 voices singing in harmony in this kind of environment, the building responds and it becomes alive again. There's a great contrast between the life of the city outside and the traffic, and we can hear the traffic from here. You just take a couple of steps into this church, there's a great divide, and you are transported into a different place here in this space.
I am Nisha Tandon. I am in front of Cara House in Twinbrook, where I started my career. This is my walk in the city. I started to work in the community just shortly after I came in this country. And Twinbrook, Cara House, was the start of my career. It was in the porter cabin at that time, and we started doing some sort of get-togethers for the women who were coming from this area. And we were bringing them taste and flavors of different food, Indian culture, and not only just the Indian culture, but talking them and giving them that moral support. And there was a lady who I worked very close, and her name was Anne Rogers. And we started to do fundraising and all those sort of things, and built up with this beautiful building in the back of me, which is like a family center where women drop in and bring their children and talk about their everyday life and their problems. Whenever I started my career, a lot of people said to me, don't go in this area because this area has got very bad reputation, height of troubles, and you will not be welcomed here. But I didn't listen to anybody. The people were the most friendliest people you can ever meet. They embraced me for every step which I made in life. And this not only just gave me the confidence to work with the place which had bad reputation, but go into the areas where there were a lot of no-go signs, and I did it. And today, as I stand, I'm working not only just with West Belfast or Lisbon or East Belfast, I'm working with whole of Northern Ireland. There are many centres in Belfast who are doing similar type of work, but they're not known, they're forgotten about. They're not even in picture what type of work is going on behind the doors. And this is very, very, very important for day-to-day life for these people who have gone through so much of trauma and so much of conflict within their own society.
Hello, my name's Kate Hutchinson. I'm here by the lovely River Lagan to introduce you to my walk in the city. I'm the Irish Seas Policy Officer for the Ulster Wildlife Trust in WWF Northern Ireland. Basically, this river behind us was first used for commercial development, i.e. for a port, back in as early as 1618. That was when the first quay was built on the River Lagan. And it wasn't until the 1800s that it really fully developed into the port that you can see behind me, where the Victoria Channel was changed from being a river, which was very bendy, into the very straight channel you can see behind us, and developed into a really large port. Originally, this would have been an expanse of mud flats and salt marshes and intertidal habitats that you can see further out in Belfast Lough. And that would have been right up to the confluence of the River Lagan and further up. But after the port of Belfast was developed, that was obviously reclaimed and put for commercial and economic use. The port of Belfast went through 75 million tonnes of freight traffic last year, and in bulk of freight, and that's what provides us with our life around the city. All of our coffees and clothes, that all comes through the port of Belfast. It's really important economically for the whole of Northern Ireland and the island of Ireland. It has a quarter of the whole of all of Ireland's freight traffic coming through this port, and that's why I find it so amazing. What we as a campaigning organisation want to see is more planning done at sea. Further out in the Lough, you have fisheries and aquaculture development, and that's increasing year upon year. And so basically what we're asking for is that we can plan more at sea, and the only way we think we can do this is through a marine bill for Northern Ireland. We also want a mechanism to protect our nationally important wildlife. In other words, the birds that are around us. We have this on land, but we don't have this in the sea, so that we can have what we call marine protected areas, because economic development should not come at the cost of wildlife and having wildlife for future generations.
Hello, my name's Julian Simmons and this is my walk in the city. I chose this part of the city because this is actually where I began my working life. In this whole area, you see the derelict building directly behind me. Well, that used to be McCalla Travel, one of the biggest travel agencies in Belfast, and that is where I served my time. The ground floor was the travel shop. The first floor was the freight department. The third floor was business travel and ticketing. And the top floor was what we had in those days, a typing pool, long before the days of computers. Girls sitting banging away, putting itineraries out on typewriters and everything. So that was a great mecca, and tons of people worked in there, and it was absolutely great crack to work around here. This actual area was one of the most bombed areas of Belfast when I started my working life, because bombs used to go off in Donegal Street and Waring Street, and anything around the city centre all reverberated round this area and always affected the building that I worked in. You'll probably see some of the windows upstairs still have a wee bit of tape on them, especially the typing pool. There's still tape over those windows that you put on to catch the glass when it flies after a blast, and I actually put some of that stuff on all those years ago. It's a wee bit frightening when you think about it. There were some pretty dark days then, and we were really frightened at times, but the sense of humour and the sense of humour of everybody all around here got us through, and I'm still here. Hoarding is starting to go up round it, and the sign is actually on the side of the building saying they're going to convert it into the apartments. And as far as I know, the whole frontage of the building is going to be preserved, so I'm really pleased about that. There isn't a day goes by in my life that I don't think about it, or the people that I worked with, and all the memories that I had of working there are with me every day, so it's a big part of my life.